So I got to be real, man. Most of the bands that I talk to on this program are lucky if they get a few thousand streams on Spotify. But the band that I'm here with tonight has done a little better than that. This is Elvis Batchild. And since we have all the members with us here tonight, let's take a minute to introduce everyone.
My name's Kit. I play bass. This is my apartment.
My name's Will. I play the drums.
I'm Nick, and I play the guitar.
I'm Brad. I play the guitar.
I'm Rain, and I sing mostly, amongst other things.
Dude, it's awesome to have y'all on tonight, man. How have you been? How have you been surviving all this stuff?
Who wants to take that one?
I'm drinking Jack Daniels right now.
For me, I've been playing a lot of music. I think one thing that's gotten me through quarantine is like these motherfuckers, you know, having these guys to hang out with and play music with and, you know, kick it with too. You know, we've tried to keep a pretty tight circle, and there's just because of the whole coronavirus and it's how it, you know, transmits. But, you know, having a group of 5 dudes really, really helps because there's no, you know, big parties or anything. It's just 5 dudes jamming out. But, yeah, that's how I've gotten through it, is music, mostly.
I want to take a moment to clarify that because you all basically have a germ circle going between you, and this is something that I find is fun with bands, you know, because so if anybody's watching this and we're wondering why we have 5 people in a room all huddled in close proximity, like these people are around each other basically all the time anyway and probably have no choice.
And I've been tested like 4 times probably.
Yeah, I think we're all lucky enough to be able to work and still isolate and still be able to see each other. It's like we're in a pretty privileged situation on that front. But we're really stoked because we've been able to put out an EP during quarantine, which we honestly didn't think really was going to happen. We kind of thought like this was going to be a writing time and hopefully it'll be over soon and we'll move on and tour and stuff. But no, it's been... We're going to put out an EP and then try to figure out how to promote music when you can't play music in front of people. It's been interesting and informative, I think, for sure.
Yeah, and it's we're not doing it my mother has pre-existing conditions and I'm still happy to record music, but we all take things into consideration and we want to be serious. It's not that we're not serious about it. It's just if there is a situation, we make sure to get tested and operate upon that, but mostly just playing music and staying safe.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I mean, if you've been in a multi-generational house or you have to live with a bunch of people, which let's be real is a lot of people in Seattle or in most cities already, I mean, you kind of have no choice but to try and manage that situation.
Yeah, it's like a household thing, right? I mean, this is basically our household, and then when we need to actually see somebody else, we take time, quarantine, get tested, etc. But we're trying to be as responsible as we can and still have some agency as musicians. I mean, I think it's a really tough time for musicians and creators in general, and getting together is the way that we create. So it's been kind of the thing that we've sacrificed a lot of stuff for, I think, for sure.
But you've got the Batchild Begins EP coming out, man. I mean, or that's out, I should say, already.
Yeah,
that's on Spotify. Man, how's that feel?
Feels good. You know, I mean, this has been like a long time coming, just trying to get music out. It's been, you know, demoing, trying to record ourselves, trying to get music done independently, which we have. But, you know, we all kind of just came together in this, you know, collective, like, let's just get some music out. And, you know, it was kind of like, you know, we spent so long on these songs that never came out. And we just said, let's just move forward with 4 new ones. And so that process in itself was full of momentum and, you know, spontaneity and excitement with, you know, and with that, it was right around Halloween. So there was this like aura of like, kind of like mystery and like, you know, fantasy. And that's kind of like one thing that like our band kind of emulates, and you can kind of hear that in the title too. But there's like some, you know, fantastical kind of fantasy parts that I like to throw into like the way I think about the music. But that's to me how it really came out, and seeing that, you know, be on the platforms is pretty fucking cool. And I think one of the things that I like the most about it is just moving on. Now that that's done, it's just writing new music, thinking about the next album. That's been my favorite part about it is the seeing the progress. Seeing like the building blocks of your passion. Like manifest, and that's pretty dope. It's been cool to have out for sure.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you have other music, before all this that like didn't even see the light of day.
Oh, so much music. God. Our problem at Elvis Batchild is not writing music.
Okay.
Our problem is, I
write a song on the way over here, guys.
Brad's not kidding. Brad writes 5 songs a day. It feels like it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And it was just cool when we started the process for the EP because we'd been like kind of planning to record so much stuff, and then we ended up kind of recording not what we were expecting. And I think that almost led to a better experience of, like you said, spontaneity, which I think can be a big factor if you're in the studio when you go in there and you're just like, this is new, this is fun, and you just try to keep that vibe. Because if you've been a band for a while, you're like kind of practicing a lot of the same songs, and you're just like, when are we going to record this, and how's it going to sound when we do? And so it was cool to kind of go in with some fresh stuff, and we're going to try to work on our backlog for the next record, but we've also, we keep writing, so it's just kind of like, it's exciting to see what's going to happen.
That's always like a struggle, like being in a band too, because it just feels like you these songs that seem very old and dated to you, it's like nobody's ever heard this stuff.
Yeah, my dad really, really wants us to record all our old stuff, and I'm like, it's so old. And he's like, but I loved seeing you guys play these songs. And it's like a year ago now, and we're like in the middle of quarantine, like we don't even know. We're just gonna kind of see what happens, I guess.
Go on tour when everything's done. That's what I'm excited about. I want to fucking tour this EP, man.
Shows to come back. That's gonna be fun.
I want to come back and go on. Like, I want like everything to like when everything does open up and everything's safe. I want to head a tour, like at least in California or Portland, and just because we've marketed our songs in a certain way, and it's been an interesting journey. Tiring journey. But you forget in quarantine that the best way to market your music is to play a live show, and to play that live show really fucking well. And that's the best marketing you could ever ask for, because that's who you are. And so I'm excited for that. That's gonna be fun.
As bands, we always have a tricky time with that, because it's like the media incentives are so backwards, because it's like, nobody wants to cover you unless you're already famous, because they just want to get clicks and, cheap click-throughs and stuff like that. But it's like for brand new bands that are putting out music, man, it's like, you either have to try and do social media and play the content game and stuff like that, or, I mean, that's like an advantage why bands hung on for so long, is because we could just take our music right to the people and just, go tour. Like, I mean, I'm ready to go play like a parking lot right now. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, we're gonna, I think, like the first step will hopefully be, once people do start getting vaccinated and stuff, hopefully have some outdoor shows. We have some people in our atmosphere, around us, who are able to kind of put on events and stuff, and we're hoping we can find some ways to do that safely. But it's all up in the air. It's all just kind of like, we're gonna have to just ride this out, I guess.
I want to put together like an outdoor festival.
Totally.
This whole thing is done with like all the bands that I've had on this show.
We've been talking about that, man. Like, seriously, we should continue that conversation, because we have a friend that has thrown some stuff in the past, and that's something that we want to do. And just like, honestly, it'd be really cool to do it like, without as like donation based, so you don't come and pay, or like maybe $5 or $10,
dude,
who knows. But like,
I don't even want to do that. I want to just like eat a huge loss on it and just make it for the community, man. And just be like, fuck it, this is a blowout. We're just coming right back, dude. Just get it started and go from there,
Yeah, I do hope we get kind of a resurgence of energy on that front, because unfortunately for the last several years, like it seems like the I don't know. It seems like just with the kind of the corporatization of everything, that festivals have kind of become kind of watered down or whatever. But I think when people come back to it, hopefully there's this sense of like, oh yeah, we get to do this again, and it's special, and we're lucky, and hopefully there's kind of that attitude towards it, you know?
Yeah, we were talking, I think, with Of the Heavy Sun about this, and it's like all the times that, you know, you had like, oh man, there's only like 10 people here tonight, and it's like, no, fuck that. Like, you're gonna be grateful if there's like one person there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was noticing that too, when like you're playing in quarantine and you're playing by yourself a lot, and then I would play like music with my girlfriend, and just even having someone there to like experience it with you is like a different feeling. And so it's like, you know, like reflecting on that, it's like, damn, you know, like playing around people really is this, you know, thing, you know. It's much like greater than my own desire. It's like,
well, yeah, it's usually like part of our process. Yeah, and it's part of how we test stuff and try stuff out. So it's kind of flying blind a little bit, but we're lucky, I think, that we got to a point where we did play like a solid year of shows. Sort of when we started the band, we played like a year of shows, and then quarantine happened, and it was good to get at least a bunch of shows under our belt and like have a sense of, you know, what stuff works. But now we're just kind of like, yeah, just gonna try to record it and put it out and doing our best.
What are some of the bands you miss playing with in Seattle?
Oh man,
Play It Forward. They were this awesome band, and
dude, they were good.
They were hella good.
Okay,
it was like our first gig, like one of our first gigs, and we're like, was that Blue Moon?
Yeah,
Blue Moon's like one of our favorite venues.
Blue Moon,
for sure.
We love Blue Moon. Yeah, Blue Moon's great. It was our first Blue Moon show, and we get there, and the first band was this. I think they were like a. They must have played together in high school in the marching.
No, they were all in the UW marching band.
Yeah, UW marching band.
And so they had like a bunch of horns, and they were just vibing, man.
Yeah, they smoked us that night.
It was so cool.
It was awesome.
They played like a bunch of sweet horn covers, and like we were just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, man, that band kicked ass. I mean,
kind of a weird off the wall one to come up with immediately, but I mean, if Play It Forward is out there, we love you guys. Please open for us again.
That was Modern Days is cool.
Yeah, Modern Days were homies. We played with them at High Dive.
Mm-hmm.
High Dive is an awesome venue.
We played with them at Barboza.
Oh, Barboza. Yeah.
High Dive. We played with
our friend Mark Brainard played with us at not Chop Suey. Barboza, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yep. Mark Brainard is like, in my opinion, one of the best songwriters in Seattle. He's just, if you don't know him, Mark Brainard, Brainard. Definitely give him a look. He's like kind of got this Father John Misty vibe. He's got his lyrics are very weird and just like off the wall and very like kind of in your face. And he's got this stage presence where he's like almost like a comedian live. I feel like there's something about the way he interacts with the crowd. He's got like a mannequin that's like it's just the legs of a mannequin, and he like puts his drink on the top of the mannequin legs, and just like he just like owns that place when he's up on stage. And I love people like that who are just naturally kind of performers. It's awesome to see. You don't see enough of that anymore.
Who was that punk band that played at Dead Baby Downhill before? They were sick.
Yeah, I forget. We played at this. I don't know if you're familiar with Dead Baby Downhill. It's a it started with like all the bike messengers in the city getting together and starting this little festival down in Georgetown that they do every year, and they have like bike races, and like there's this. Jousting. Yeah, bike jousting. They get these. They welded two bikes together, and they're like twice as tall as a regular bike. And you get up on the bike, and you have a jousting pole, and you push, knock each other off the bikes onto the concrete. But it was awesome, and people are getting hurt and whatever sort of. But like, it's awesome. It's
kind of like
such a weird
dystopian.
Event.
It's like Mad Max.
Bike messenger community in Seattle, they've been doing Dead Baby Downhill for years in Georgetown,
and the city's been trying to shut it down for years.
Yeah, but it's so cool. It's really cool.
It's kind of an anarchist thing, man. It's weird that it even exists in Seattle, to be honest.
Georgetown has a cool vibe, though. I feel like for that kind of stuff, man. And
for sure.
You got me reminiscing about the good old days of 2019, I think like Beacon Hill, with the Clock Out Lounge too and stuff. I mean, we went to shows down there a fair amount, and Man, miss that place. I miss Belltown Yacht Club. Miss them all.
We never played Belltown. I've actually never been to Belltown Yacht Club. I've seen pictures of it, and I've seen like people like post about it, but
what's that bar? Screwdriver?
Screwdriver
That's
bar.
A sick bar.
Yeah,
I love
Belltown.
that bar. I used to live in Belltown on like First and Bell, Bell and Western, and I'd go to Screwdriver, and it was a cool atmosphere. And I think Yacht Club's like right next to it, right? Or it's like an old recording.
Belltown Yacht Club is like the name of the venue within Screwdriver.
It's just like downstairs.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, Screwdriver,
Yeah.
much love. I mean, those businesses we dismiss, like going and kicking it and having a good time and listening to music.
Man, that's what it's all about, man. Well, speaking of listening to music, we're going to take a break for right now. We're going to play a couple tracks, and then we're going to come back here in a minute with an encore.
Cool. Let's do it.
I'm feeling the room and I'm feeling a good night. Be getting the vibe right. I'm feeling the boom from the speakers to my right. Beginning to vibe right. I'm feeling the buzzing. I'm feeling the Mai Tais and Bud Lights. I'm feeling the feeling that comes from the black lights and wild eyes. But all the boys in the back room are calling the shots, and the law says we gotta get out by 2 o'clock. And if we don't, those policemen might come beating us down, and they might just do it 'cause it's 2020 now. You can't go out, you can't stay home, you can't be alone. You're feeling out the quarantine zone, you can't be alone, no. Oh, now where did we ever get this feeling that life is apocalypse, life is anonymous, bitch, it's the opposite. Our lives are endogenous, you're an erogenous zone made of carbon composites. Our lives are a positive, show me the genus and violent of being agnostic, the genius of feeling what God is feeling, acknowledge beginning to prosper, beginning to postulate, beginning to preach your own gospel. Don't cover the coffers of fate with communities, all that you need, don't be hostile. Don't cover your flag with hate, your family with hate, the streets with bodies, and in the background your walls burning down. You can't go out, you can't stay home, you can't be alone. You're feeling out the quarantine zone, you can't be alone. You can't go out, you can't stay home, you can't be alone. You're feeling out the quarantine zone, you can't be alone, no. But then when I think I remember the Mai Tais and skiing the Alpine, I think of the nights that I spent with some thick thighs and gambling all night. But all my stocks are trading high, so I'm feeling alright for now. No, I gotta erase, I gotta deface, I gotta displace, I gotta deface, I gotta erase, I gotta deface, I gotta replace. You can't go out, you can't stay home, you can't be alone, no. Feeling out the quarantine the seams. You've been running on empty, judging by the way you still resent me. You've been part of a bad scene. You keep repeating the lines you've been taught to believe. Funny thing is you can't see what you would do without me. You silly boy. You can't even stay employed. You're the man of my dreams, and you're coming apart at the seams. You've been having a bad dream, oh. You've been coming apart and apart at the seams. You've been running on empty, and you have consequently wasted your 20s. Oh, not gonna feed you some lines to keep your mind at ease. Funny thing is you can't see what you would be without me. You silly boy. You can't even stay employed. You're the man of my dreams, and you're coming apart at the seams. Baby, you've been coming around my door lately. You've been asking me for more, baby. But you've been calling me lately. Oh, 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 oh. asking me for more, baby boy.
Let's just pull up Reddit, our conspiracy. Just go to town.
Connect the dots, man.
Dude, our conspiracy has gotten so like conservative.
Yeah,
I feel like
it has.
I feel like a lot of those posts are, you know,
It's like where like a lot of the Donald people went.
Yeah.
I
Oh
feel like.
God.
They're all on like 8kun and 4chan and 8chan. I'm a leftward leaning person, but I find myself like browsing these chats because these fucking people are nuts, and I'm just
It's like you're spying on the enemy.
Yeah,
man,
well, you gotta know your enemy. You gotta know your enemy, man. It's like, I'm intrigued with all that, but those people are cuckoo, dude.
Yeah, some people, man.
But if we're gonna go down a rabbit hole, I think it's pretty cool to talk about. I didn't expect this, but Elvis Batchild's like political content in the lyrics, which is there, and it's fucking pretty badass in my opinion. So I joined the band late. I have never actually really played an official live show with this band. I've done a couple.
Yeah, you have, dude.
Well, yeah, I played a bunch, but
You
like
totally played a live show with us.
I played. What's that one in? That location?
Olympia.
No, Olympia, but the place in
Central Saloon.
Will was actually the backup drummer before.
I would just play drums when the drummer couldn't make it, and then I joined, and then they're like,
Our drummer permanently stopped making it, so
and they were like, just play a live show with like an official live show as a band member, and then we'll determine if that, but then COVID happened, so it turned into me recording with them. And it was not like I haven't really recorded like that, and I was floundering for like the first day. So
we all were.
It was
was that when you all went to Electro Kitty?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, our first day was definitely like we did not get anything done. And Christian, our engineer, tried to he did a great job, and he got us all set up and stuff on day one, but we had to work out some of the scaries a little bit, I think, in the studio, and then the next few days were great. We totally had a blast after that.
Well, I didn't mean to snatch that one from you, man.
It's all
you were
good.
saying.
I mean, it's been great playing drums with these guys. They got a bunch of new music and old music.
We have a bunch of new music.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the band, you know that, right?
No, but I basically went to every show that they. I went to every show that they played. I thought you knew that, dude. They were my homies that I went to every show that they played.
Dude, you're on the podcast.
He's just here to hype us up.
Bro, you're on the podcast.
Not because I was gunning for the spot or anything. It's just I was going there to play with these guys. I mean, listen to these guys, and it was good.
If you're on the podcast, man, that's the new engagement ring right there.
That's pretty official, man.
That's how you know.
It's pretty official, yeah.
Yeah, I was never on a podcast to know that I was in the band. I guess it's not for everyone, but pretty fish.
There's various measurements of that. I mean, I know I've been filling in a little bit with Peyote Ugly on drums, but I always joke that it's like you don't have to have me in the promo pics. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm just here to drum, man.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't really give a fuck about it. I'll do anything you need me to do, but
I always hated taking pictures at band pictures anyway, personally. So it's just I'm like, y'all can have fun with that. Just let me play the songs on stage. I'm cool.
I mean, shout out to the guy, Adam.
Andrew.
Sorry,
Valentine.
Whoops, wrong name. He's a killer with the photos. He took some great photos of us. He has the tendency to climb very high buildings and get in really odd places in the city, and he has a knack for taking really good photos. So we had him taking photos of us in random places.
Is that where he's at on I was gonna say Andrew Valentine was his name?
Yeah, it's And Valan on Instagram if you want to check out his photos.
And Valen.
The photographers are our lifeblood, man. They're like our outreach to Instagram.
For sure.
We can't take selfies while we're busy playing on stage. That's not going to work,
Yeah. No, I mean, getting your stuff documented as a band is tough sometimes, and just, find somebody who's reliable and good and pay them money and keep the whole thing rolling, basically. I mean, we just, as creators, got to be supporting each other right now. There's never been a more vital time, I think, in the modern history of artists for people coming together and trying to support each other, because clearly, if this pandemic has shown us anything, the government is not coming to save us. The government is not coming to save our venues. The government's not coming to save artists. This is up to us now. This is
if they are, it's going to take them 4, 5, 6 months, and we've already been evicted.
Right.
But
and yeah, like we have to figure out how to build our communities, I think, a little bit better from here. I think this is a time for us to all kind of like reevaluate and figure out what we want to prioritize in our society. And Seattle's been missing, I think for a long time, we've been kind of like riding the coattails of the 90s and like pretending like we're still an arts and music city. But you just saw, like, we just tried to launch Upstream Festival, right?
Yeah.
And that has already failed. We just lost Sasquatch, you know, and it's just like, it's just hard to see this stuff happening when we have clearly such a thriving music and arts community underground, but like for some reason the city cannot find a way right now to pull that up and to give that the spotlight it deserves.
Even that drives me nuts, man, when because I do the podcast here, and sometimes, people be like, oh man, you got to talk to this dude or that dude, like they went to high school with Kurt Cobain, or they knew like the Pearl Jam guys back in the day, and I'm like, and that's cool, like, no, don't disrespect, but it's like, I want to talk about bands that are doing stuff now, man. I want to talk about like the stuff that's happening now. What are we doing like next year, man? Like, this is where it's at for me.
Right.
It's like, not to mention the fact that I didn't grow up in Seattle. So obviously, like, I didn't live through that history or anything like that. So I feel like it'd be a little disingenuous for me to like talk about that. It's like, I wasn't there. I have no clue.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Miami.
Cool.
Yeah, Miami, Florida. And I went to school in Tallahassee, college in Tallahassee, and I had a gig in Atlanta for a couple of years after that. And actually today is my 3-year anniversary of landing in the Seattle city limits.
Congratulations. Awesome.
So yeah, what can I say? Like, I love this place, man. It feels like I found home. Like it's one reason I'm stoked to be doing stuff like this, man. And I've been out there obviously like with Blade Palace and filling in with Peyote, man. So for this and being able to talk to bands like y'all, man, it's just like, this is it, man. I love like taking all of us, man, and just getting this music out there, man, putting it out there and having fun with it.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're stoked that you are talking with us.
Yeah, I love that band, Peyote Ugly. When I saw that band name, I was like, that's one of those ones you see and you're like, I wish I came up with that.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It was a good name.
It's such a cool band name. It's hard to come up with good band names. When we first started, I joined this band back in 2019, like March of 2019.
Okay.
And
almost 2 years. Dude.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's
God.
been a while. A year of that's been in quarantine, which is really weird. But they didn't have a band name really. They had
we had a band name.
Pretty Boy Floyd.
Pretty Boy Floyd, but it was taken. It was taken, and fuck that.
Didn't you guys set up a show as Pretty Boy Floyd?
Yeah, and then I think the guy was like, sent an email and was like, hey, so some people like showed up thinking it was going to be this like hair metal band from 1980, and it wasn't. So think about changing your name. And then we're like, yeah, maybe we should change our name. Maybe that is a good idea. Because I guess like when we first saw it, like, oh, that band's no one knows who that is, probably. And then, I guess they were pretty well known.
Pretty Boy Floyd.
I guess they were pretty well known.
God damn, if they got fans coming back out 30 years after the fact, just on the off chance they're going to see them, like, damn, they must have been good back in the day, dude.
Yeah.
Shit.
Jeez. Playing at El Corazon.
What was it? Funhouse.
Funhouse. Yeah.
Funhouse is the shit.
Floyd. Wednesday night at Funhouse.
I wish we had the
Darlene,
wrestling.
did you say that?
The wrestling at Funhouse. Oh no, it's not Funhouse.
Yeah,
it's
no, that was at
That's underneath Victory, dude. Or
I've seen it at Elko before too.
maybe, okay, it could be at Elko. I could see that, yeah.
There was some insane metal at Funhouse, and then you walk over and there's like really intense wrestling match at El Corazon. And I remember I came back to like get my keys, and I was like super hungover, and I walk in and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I just like stayed very hungover, and there was like the singer. The best part about the whole thing was the singer for the metal band had this like long hair and was like standing up and was like singing these really long like opera like notes, but it was very epic, and everyone was like cheering, and it was like, it was a true metal vocalist, and
that's
just
a cool venue,
just thriving in his element. And then there was the wrestling, which also just
I got surprised because it's like I never knew that there was like wrestling underneath like where Victory was at, because I used to I used to drive Uber in Seattle, and it was funny because like I knew of Victory and Lo-Fi and Black Lodge and all the venues on that block. So I'd be driving on like a Friday or Saturday night, and I'd pick people up from like around that block, and I'd be like, oh hey, how was the show? Like I figured they were coming out of like Victory or Lo-Fi or something like that, and they're like, oh no, dude, we were just like watching wrestling. And I was like, do tell. What's the biggest challenge in the last 2 years that you all went through as a band?
Okay, I'll take this one.
Do it.
Well, I mean, the biggest challenge for any band, I think, is maintaining unity and cohesion as a group of people who have different priorities and different views on what the heck it means to be an artist or a band. And I've been in my life, when I actually lived in Bellingham for a while. I went to school up at Western, which had a pretty good scene, music scene, a good house show scene. But with bands, like you kind of mentioned the drummer thing, right? Where it's like drummers are like playing for like 10 different bands, but they're not ever really in any of those bands. And that was what my whole life in bands was like before meeting these guys, was like, you're there's at least one person in the band who's a little bit non-committal, and you might have to change them out. And if you lose a member, then you lose like a lot of the original kind of creative energy behind the project, and it usually kind of falls apart. And that's the situations I've been in so many times. But in this band, we've lost 2 members. And we're actually doing better than we ever have, which is not to at all a diss on those members. Those people left for reasons that were super valid, and it was a good decision at the end of the day. But I'm just shocked that we managed to like keep moving forward and keep our momentum going, and especially like right when quarantine hit. And we're lucky to have, Will was our backup drummer and a good friend of the band, and he just slotted right in. And Nick,
we had tryouts. Right. And we had tryouts, and we had another guy come in, but Will came in, and we're like, Will just knew, because he'd been playing with it for so long.
Yeah, he knew the songs.
So he just like, we're like, okay, we can't like not have Will. He's pretty
right.
good.
And then Nick is our new guitarist, who is Brad's brother. So Brad basically, the Cleveland brothers. But Brad basically brought his brother in as like,
didn't we like try out like 3 other guitar players?
We tried a few guitarists.
And I was like, Nick's gonna come in tomorrow. So.
Every time we tried out a new guitar player, Brad was like, nope, Nick's better.
Nope. And he was right. He was totally right. You may not be able to tell from our most recent EP, but we love metal. Like we this is something we miss about playing live, is like a lot of the time our vibe is to kind of like lure you in with some catchy shit and like put on like some really nice, smooth stuff, funky stuff, psychedelic stuff. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, our guitarists just pick up this insane metal part, and you get to see like the chops that our guitarists have. And we're like really proud as a group of the fact that we have really 2 guitarists who can just completely shred.
We grew up listening to like Iron Maiden and shit. So
I thought you were gonna plug the rap verses, man, because you got bars too, dude.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right?
You ever heard our drummer rap?
Our drummer has
bars, bro. And I mean, dude, Will, fucking, you got a chance to freestyle.
No, I'm not gonna freestyle.
Will's like our secret. Will's like our secret punk rocker / rapper.
He's gonna have some vocals on the next album.
I listen to mostly hip hop, and it's a problem apparently with the band.
It's not a problem. No, we never said that was a problem.
Well, so this is something we've talked about a lot. We have some friends in the rap community here in Seattle, which I think is like, I think the rap scene in Seattle is going to blow up, I think, at some point again. There's so much going on underground. And again, I want to emphasize that like Seattle does not do a good job as a city of highlighting these artists.
Especially hip
hop for a lot of reasons. And so for us, it's like we want to have a big focus when we go back to playing shows on multi-genre shows. I mean, we want to go bring in, because everybody in this country now listens to every genre, lots of different stuff. If you're cutting yourself off from a genre, you're missing out right now. So I think that's like part of the future of music, is going genreless, to the extent that you're mixing sounds as much as possible and just getting as much out to people as you can and supporting each other no matter what kind of music you play.
King Gizzard does a good job at that. Every album they do is different. And, you know, I think one approach that we are kind of taking is like, you look at our EP, each song is kind of like a different genre. Like if you were like put that song in like a genre, you could, you know, if you really dug into it, put them in different genres. And so like, you know, that is like, you know, like what you're talking about, Rain, like it does like, you know, we kind of reflect that too, which is, you know.
Yeah, and we haven't really, I mean, that's still, if you listen to the EP, it's still basically for guitar rock songs. Like we didn't go in on keyboards and synths and stuff, and a lot of the stuff that we actually do, like I use a vocoder on stage. You know, there's a bunch of stuff we do, and we do live especially, that we really didn't get to put into that record just because we had a few days and we stuck to our strengths, which is like, you know, playing guitars and making good melodies and just kind of having solid songs. But we're going to go in hopefully into the studio over the next 6 months and hopefully get another album done. And I think in that album, for those who, you know, keep up with us, I think it'll be fun because we're going into territory we've never explored, and sonic spaces that we think are fairly new, and it's a mix of things that we love, and hopefully when that comes out, people will dig that kind of variety, because I think, like I said, that's where we're headed with music.
Yeah, and it's also like we all have different tastes in music. Like every single one of us has like a different background in music, which is cool, and we all contribute to the songs in our own ways. And that's, you know, one thing that like I think that like the most amazing thing I've ever like learned, because I've like learned music through online mediums. The most fascinating thing I've learned is listening to like my favorite musicians just talk about music, and what they say is like, I mean, one of the consistencies amongst those conversations is the unity of the individuals in the band sharing that moment purely. And when that happens, the song writes itself through the members and through the you know, collective energy that you're giving this medium that we call music. And it's fucking powerful, man. And like for me at least, you know, like individually makes me really happy, and it keeps me, you know, really grounded. But it also like, you know, brings a cool opportunity for sound, you know, having 5 dudes just like contribute to a song, because no one's really like writing it, you know. Yeah, sure, Brad came up with the riff, and Brad came up with it with the song, but like the drums and the bass and the vocals, you know, we all contribute in our own way, and it never like, we never like sit down and like methodically think about it. We get in there and we jam.
And you have to, that's a process too, man. It's just kind of feeling that out and learning that out between 5 people. It doesn't matter how long anybody's been playing. I mean, everybody has to figure that out. You know, when you get together with different people and how to make that synergy work. And, and, you know, every band like has different dynamics. You know, I just feel like we're getting to the point with Blade Palace now where it's like, you know, we've Elliot and Rob have written songs in the past, but now it's like we're at that point after 3 years where it's like we're learning how to like jam and function
totally
as a unit. You know,
it's crazy how songs change from the inception or the writing through being, and then being filtered through other people and having other people's you know, styles come into that. It's just really interesting to see how songs morph and change throughout jamming with other people and etc. I think what was so fascinating about, like Kit just kind of touched on, like the song writing itself, that's kind of a profound thing, because I honestly, like, I feel a lot of the time like the song is telling us what to do. It's not really any of us going like, this song needs to sound like this. It's often just like we try things and you hear it and then you're like, oh, it wasn't quite right. And then especially in the studio when you're recording things and you hear it back, you know, and then it's like you just kind of start to feel like the song is like, no, put a guitar part here, you know, not here. And then it just like, that's kind of how it works out. It's like none of us are really making that decision. It just seems to happen. And it's a really interesting part of the creative process.
Yeah. And I think there was plenty of times during that recording process where we'd be taking a break and we'd reflect, you know, all together that, you know, these songs are not ending up the way that we envisioned them, but it was for the better, and we were like pleasantly surprised at, you know, the direction that they took because of that process of being in the studio and like figuring out, you know, when we're listening to the tracks back, like what needs to happen or what new part needs to be added where. So that's kind of a really cool thing about how we write music and how the songs end up, because it's really never, you know, the way that we imagine them when we start writing them.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, you just kind of go with it, and you just go off into this whole other universe that's just this supernatural energy. It's not of this world. You can't really explain it, but it's that feeling that you only get when you get together as all 5 people and just, man, let the magic happen, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like Brad just said, the second half of the second song on the album, Bad Dream, was like kind of like it was the take that ended up being used on guitar.
We didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Was like Will had put the drum track down, and he's got this like pretty hard, loud drum beat going on, and it's funny because it ends up being like Brad was just, I think,
a really cool guitar part by Nick.
You were just kind of like noodling while you didn't even really know he was recording, right?
No, I didn't. It's because the sound changed. That me and Kit were talking. We were trying to distort it. We were like, it should be really distorted.
Yeah,
we should be shredding this. It should be distorted.
This was supposed to be
Iron
Slayer, metal
Black Sabbath.
But then
Think Black
Christian
Sabbath.
gave me his SG and put me through like a Vox, and it was like
clean
basically
tone.
a clean tone.
Basically,
it was a super clean
And
tone.
then before you know it, I'm just sitting there trying to rip
cleanest.
off David Gilmour.
It did come out very David Gilmour, very Pink Floyd. Yeah. And
But
it's
it was
cool
some
because the
clean
drums are
fucking
just
tone.
holding it down and going crazy, but the other instruments are kind of like a little bit held back from where you expect them to be, which is not what we typically do. When we're playing live, we typically go all out, balls to the wall. But that's the fun thing about the studio is sometimes something just comes out and you're like, oh my God, like I didn't know it was supposed to be, the song was supposed to be like that. But now that it is, I can't really imagine it any way different. And I just love that. I mean, the studio is a writing tool. I was literally I love saving a little bit of work as a songwriter and as a lyricist for the studio. Because when I started with this band, I had 2 weeks to write 10 songs that they had already written these 10 songs, and I had to go put lyrics over them. And even at our first show, I was literally ad-libbing half of the lyrics for the first couple shows. Nobody knew, and I'm only admitting this now, but I was making stuff up on stage, and then kind of like over time those lyrics kind of got locked in. But when I got to the studio, there were parts of like our third song on the record, Uninvited, I had written maybe half of it when I got into the studio. I literally wrote, like you mentioned that we have some like kind of hip hoppy rappy parts. There's a rap part in that song that's kind of like, it's like I'm talking about fuckboys and stuff at shows, like people that we don't want to be at our shows.
I heard that. I was like, all right, this is, the sound is 1970s, but the lyrics are totally 2020.
Yeah, we definitely modernized a lot with the lyrics. And that was the thing, like I found that a lot of that stuff in the studio. I found that as we were making it, that a lot of that stuff that kind of pops out at you, I think, like there's a part where we go, sex toy, like all this weird stuff. I was literally in the shot the night before we were recording that song. I was kind of stressed because I hadn't finished the song yet, and I was in the shower in my Airbnb where I was staying. Thinking about sex toys, and I literally wrote like the chorus and the rap part just the night before. And my girlfriend was staying with me at that Airbnb just down the street from the studio for the week, and she was trying to sleep, and I was like, I started off very quiet in the shower, like, well, you've been keeping an eye on you all night, sex toy. And then I started getting louder and louder and louder. And then she's like, I could hear her from the shower, like, can you quiet down there? I'm trying to sleep. And I'm like, babe, I'm writing for the album. It's really important.
Don't mess with the inspiration. I'm creating.
But there's something about the time crunch of the studio. And the studio is a magical space. It's a place where people have been making magic for years and years, and Electric Kitty is a beautiful spot. If you get a chance to record Electric Kitty, highly recommend it. As far as studios go,
especially
in Seattle,
Christian too. It's
a premier studio. They've got amazing gear, but it feels like home. We really, really got to like feel like we were spread out in a safe, comfortable space. It's just small enough that it feels like intimate, but it's big enough that you can do basically anything you want. We ended up bringing in backing vocalists, which was not something we expected was going to happen because we were in the middle of quarantine. And we did it safely. We brought people in masked, and they were only in there for like 20 minutes in the live room, and we were all distanced. But we had the mic set up in a way where we were able to capture a bunch of people singing together.
And I think everyone wore a mask too, right?
Everybody wore a mask while singing. And you can't tell. It's on the first song, Can't Go Out. at the end you hear this big chorus with a bunch of people singing, and we had envisioned that and like hoped we could do that, but we didn't know if we'd be able to pull it off. And thankfully our engineer worked with us on getting this done, and he doubled, tripled these tracks of people singing, and it sounds like, to me, it just sounds like in a stadium of people like singing the song together, which during quarantine was like the most cathartic thing for us to feel. Like, we just created the song and we had people singing on it, and it sounded like a group of people hanging out together. And
yeah, it sounded like a bunch of drunks in a bar, man.
Right.
Yeah.
The lead single off the album is about quarantine, very, very much. And so it was really cool to end the song with togetherness when we were existing in so much isolation at the time.
I gotta say, man, talking to you guys tonight, like, this is the joy I get out of doing this, man, because it feels like if you're still a band after 2020 and you've survived through all this and you're still out here and you're still writing songs and you're still making music and you're still excited about, man, what's coming up in the next like 6 months, what's coming up in like the next year, man. This is the reason why I do this, man. So I want to thank you guys tonight for taking your time coming on here, man. And anything else you want to add in before we wrap this up?
I'll say one thing, dude. I checked out your band, and you guys are fucking sick. You guys fucking rock, man. What was Blade Palace?
Blade Palace,
yeah, man. You guys, it's like psych rock, Yeah, that's kind of it's awesome stuff, man.
Yeah, I want to take the opportunity from all of us to thank you for what you're doing. This is the future. I think part of the future of music is creating conversations about it and creating a social understanding of what people are out there doing and trying to create. And we're extremely grateful that you're amplifying our voices and other people's in the scene, and we look forward to seeing who else you put on, man. It's really, really exciting that people are out there supporting each other, and we're stoked. So, and let's get a show together when we can. Let's play together. It's gonna be fun.
I can't wait. One thing I gotta add in too, man. I gotta say, Can't Go Out, Can't Stay Home. I have played the shit out of that on the new radio segment. That's something I'm really excited about, man, because for me, it's like being able to create a new medium like that where I can play records from all these awesome Seattle bands and just, put that on in rotation like every week, just shuffle it up like DJ style. I've been having the time of my life doing that, man. So I would encourage everybody like listening to this, check out the new Raised on Rhythm radio segment that's out there on Spotify. There's Bandcamp links to every one of the songs featured right there in the description with timestamps and everything like that, including Elvis Batchild, Can't Go Out, Can't Stay Home. Hopefully more of yours when you've got those on the way.
Yep.
Just know that when you guys go into the studio next time and you're recording more stuff, you've got at least one radio station here that'll play it.
Hell yeah, man.
Fuck yeah.
Well, you can expect that shit soon. We're going to get down to it. We got nothing else to do except go back to work. So we're going to do it.
Hell yeah, man. Sounds good. All right. Elvis Batchild, thank you so much again.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.